Christmas is at our doorstep, and you might be thinking a cute, cuddly, furry friend is the perfect gift this time of year. And it's true. Pets make wonderful additions to the family, but do you know the true cost of taking care of an animal? And it's a lot more than you might think. I'm Eli Freeman, and let's look at the data. Buying a cute puppy or kitten for Christmas seems like a wonderful idea until a few days after Christmas when you realize just how expensive and how much work taking care of an animal is. According to PETA, by January, most present animals will have joined more than 6 million who enter shelters in the US every year. So many animals actually end up abandoned, and that's why it's so important to know what you're getting yourself into. Just like how we talk about being educated investors here on this show, I wanted to make sure that you feel educated as a potential pet owner. And really quick, while there are tons of different pets like hamsters, goldfish, and parrots, I'll primarily be referring to cats and dogs in these examples throughout the video. But that doesn't mean that those other pets don't also have the same or similar expenses. Now, the first big decision you make when you're looking for a pet is whether you'll shop or adopt. This is the initial investment, and there's pros and cons to either of them. With adoption, there will be a few fees which go to support the animal shelter, and depending on the shelter, they can run anywhere from $50 to $250. But some shelters have adoption deals and can be even lower. It really all depends on what the shelter is offering. You could also end up adopting a rehomed animal, and that is an animal that someone else can't take care of anymore. Or someone in your neighborhood just had puppies and they're homing them for a small fee. This is completely different than buying from a trusted breeder. A purebred pet can cost anywhere from $500 to over $3,000 depending on the breed. So what are the pros and cons? The pro to adopting is you're giving an unwanted animal a home. But the con could be that you don't know their exact breed or history, which could make it difficult for training or expensive on medical cost. The pro to breeding is you know exactly what you're getting yourself into and the animal that you're purchasing. The con is the price. It all depends on what you're looking for, and it's good to do your research on different kinds of breeds, especially when it comes to dogs. But that's just the first initial investment, and we're only just getting started when it comes to the cost of owning a pet. Next, you have to buy everything for the pet. Food bowls, collar, leash, bedding, crate, litter box, toys. The estimated cost of all these is anywhere from $150 to $500, and typically the larger the animal, the more expensive stuff is. Believe me, I have a Great Dane, and it's very expensive. Okay, you buy all the animal stuff, then what's next? Feeding your animal. Costs for pets' food vary by size. Obviously, the smaller the animal, the less food they'll need, and the larger the animal, like my Great Dane, the more that they'll need. The average cat owner spends anywhere from $225 to $870 per year. Large dog owners, like myself, can spend twice as much in dog food as a normal dog owner, and this isn't even considering special diets or vet-prescribed diets to help with an animal's health or the new options that people have today for feeding their animal fresh food. And food is going to be a recurring, continual expense. You'll need to budget for it. Other recurring costs to add to your budget are regular vet visits, vaccines, possibly medication, and you might even consider pet insurance. Grooming, especially for dogs, could be a recurring expense, and those costs could range from $30 to $100 per session. And that's completely dependent on the breed for how frequent and how necessary the grooming is. You might be able to do it at home if you've got a pet willing to let you do it. For cats, you've got litter to keep buying, and for puppies, you might take them to puppy school to get trained. And if you have a dog, you might need to take them to doggy daycare while you're working. And those are just the possible recurring costs. We're just now going to tap into the unexpected expenses. And by the way, I'm curious. Tell me in the comments if you've already owned a pet and how you feel about budgeting for their expenses. I'd like to know. Now, you can't plan for unexpected expenses. They just happen. Typically, this comes in the form of an emergency pet bill, like an accident, illness, or surgery. Chronic illness in an animal could cost over $500 a year to treat, and a broken bone is in the thousands. In my experience, people who have pets aren't willing to not spend the money on their pets, so it actually becomes a recurring expense that they cannot say no to. Then there's the behavioral cost. If your animal's destructive and showing aggressive behaviors, you could find yourself replacing furniture, shoes, and other household items. I mentioned before that doggy daycare could be part of your recurring expenses. Well, similarly, you may spend money to have someone pet sit your animal while you're away on vacation or traveling. You might even have to board them somewhere like an animal hotel, and those aren't cheap. You should also consider the cost of your time, not just your money. With a dog, you'll need to walk the dog multiple times a day, to use the bathroom if you don't have a fenced yard, or to let them out. You'll need to train your animal, play with them. Even cats need to be played with, I think. And this is a lifelong commitment. The animal is going to be with you for the rest of its life. So that is years of these recurring expenses. The average dog will live 10 to 15 years, and cats can live up to 20 years. On a rough estimate, owning a medium-sized dog can cost anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 in its lifetime. Luckily, there are ways to cut down on some of those costs. For example, if you don't care about an animal's breed, adopt, don't shop. Adopting is much less expensive, and most shelters will have already taken care of those other procedures like spaying, neutering, and shots. Next, buy your food and litter in bulk. Third, try grooming your animal at home. And fourth, consider pet insurance to save on those higher costs. It might be right for you, and it might not. And that's why it's worth looking into. So is being a pet owner right for you? It changes your lifestyle, changes your finances, and it can be a sweet addition to your family, but it is full of responsibility. I hope this video helps you think carefully about the true cost of owning a pet. And if you're wondering what the #1 wealth killer is in the United States, don't worry, it isn't cats and dogs. Click here.